The quest for the hardest trophy to win in sports. You're watching Rogers TV.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hello and welcome to HealthLink, a program connecting home, community, and healthcare. My name is Carol Merton, and today I am delighted to welcome three guests who are here to talk about affordable housing, building healthy communities. So in no particular order, just the way I've written the names, Jan Chamberlain, Sylvia Statham, and Marianne Williams have agreed to talk to us about affordable housing and how to help our communities be healthy, sustainable, and prosperous. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. I really, really appreciate you being here. And I know we're planning on going to Sylvia first, but one of the things that would help for each one of you is to tell us a little bit about yourself and what interests you about affordable housing. But Sylvia, I'll turn it over to you because I noticed that you're all sitting together in some location. Where are you?
Well, we are at the Office of Lutheran Social Services. It's right next to St. Francis Place on 10th Street, 374. And I'll just tell you a little bit of why housing and health really interest me. I've been in this business for 35 years. When St. Francis Place was completed in 1988, Lutheran Social Services needed somebody to look after their books. And so they hired me. And over the years, believe me, it hasn't just been looking after the books. It's getting to know all the tenants and creating community here at St. Francis Place, and to help people age in place.
Yeah.
That was our goal.
St. Francis Place, for people who may not be familiar with, it's an apartment building, correct?
8 stories.
8 stories. And the people who live in St. Francis Place, are they all ages or primarily certain age groups?
Primarily seniors, 65 and over. And then we have a few special needs. VON provides some supportive housing and participation lodge and community living for younger people.
Great. And we're going to hear more about the initiative that you are working on, the important initiative, but maybe we'll head over to Marianne next and then Jan, just to share a little bit about yourself and why you have an interest in affordable housing.
Well, I'm a community member and a member of a number of service type groups in the city. CFUW, Canadian Federation of University Women. We've been talking to Rotarians, Rotary clubs, and also within churches. And a lot of their focus is on healthy aging. And often they'll have a group of people that focus right on that fact, a walking group or a group that visits various organizations to see what's happening and what they can contribute to staying healthy in senior years.
And seniors are vital to the lifeblood of our communities in so many ways, volunteering, participating in events. I mean, seniors really offer our communities so much that aging in place is just part of also continuing to make sure our seniors are vital and able to continue to offer all sorts of services to the community. So for sure that's interesting. Jan, how about you?
Well, I was going to tell you about my own experience with my own home after my husband died 20 years ago. And I started working on doctor recruitment and having people come and stay for short-term stays. And then I started to rent out rooms. And so I realized so I became a landlady. But the main thing was we worked on getting the senior center started. We started out calling it the McQuaid Tannery Center because it had been the offices of the McQuaid building, the big industry that was here. But it's been now renamed to the Active Lifestyle Center. And one of the first opportunities we got to work on a New Horizons grant for the federal government to look at the future of housing. And so we went out to do community consultations. I couldn't get over how many older people came. And I remember that first meeting at the Legion. They all wanted to move into Owen Sound. They wanted to move to smaller places. And as we went forward to continue to do those consultations, housing came at the top of the list for everybody. So that got me quite interested. And then when I got on council and I got an opportunity to join the nonprofit group as the member from council, I have really been able to pay close attention to what's going on in that housing field, how affordable housing gets built, who gets to live there. And I guess, Carol, the one that even different than Marianne and Sylvia, I'm actually living now in mixed housing as part of the Owen Sound nonprofit housing. So I think I have a lot of things that I can answer about what it's all about.
Yeah. In other words, you have lived experience.
Experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Excellent. So Sylvia, I know that you're working on a project, and I'm wondering if you can share, and also because it impacts all of us together in a community, being able to offer housing for seniors and certainly affordable as well as market rent. Tell us a little bit about your initiative and how the community can help you.
Well, when we built St. Francis Place, we needed to purchase a few buildings around St. Francis Place for extra parking. So many years ago, we determined that we could build another project on our land here, and we were encouraged to do so because once St. Francis Place came to end of mortgage, which was last year, we should be able to leverage to build another building. So we have designed St. Clair Place for 40 units. Half will be affordable and half will be market. And Grey County is giving us funds, and CMHC is giving us funds, and the mortgage will be with CMHC, but we're a little short, and we're about $600,000 short, and we're just hoping, because housing is really in a crisis in this community and all communities, that the community can chip in. We're on Canada Helps. You just go to Canada Helps and look for Lutheran Social Services, and you can hopefully donate there and help us out. We'd really appreciate that.
So you're so close, but you've explored all sorts of options, and you're just close, so close to that finish financial line that any little bit or large bit anyone can donate would be appreciated.
Fantastic. Yes, fantastic.
So that's through Canada Helps. The one thing that really strikes me is it's downtown, so people within walking distance of a variety of things. But also, and Jan and Marianne, maybe you can speak to this as well, the importance we learned of being together for seniors. COVID taught us a lot about what happens to health when people are isolated, and especially seniors. So I'm wondering if you'd like to talk about things like how seniors can support each other, whether it's in like cooperative initiatives for housing, or, and what happens when two seniors may be living in an apartment, one passes away and there's not enough money for rent. And I know, Jan, you would be able to address that because you know about those. So Who'd like to take it away?
Now, I'll go first on this one because the three of us are seniors, as you can see, and we actually are working on this project all together. We're all supporting Sylvia on this new build. And St. Clair is a saint?
Yes.
So
She is.
is it a she?
It's a
Yeah.
she.
And St. Francis was as well. Yes. So I keep telling Sylvia I have the most to learn because we're working. I've actually come over to help Sylvia with this project, and I really, really want to learn about how we can fund this through the community. We've been going to the Institute for Southern Georgian Bay Learning labs, and we're doing the one on community funds. You could be
Bonds.
community bonds. That's right. And we had a bit of experience with that, knowing how it got done for Glassworks, and also the Community Foundation Grey Bruce is helping us with some workshops on how to make this happen. So, and we know that there's other organizations, maybe not just here, that are being able to get money locally for these housing crises. We've had several people say to us, if housing is such a crisis, why aren't we acting like it? Well, all three of us, along with you, Carol, are acting like we know it's a crisis. And the more that we can speak up and say, it's going to be a local build, it can be built by the local people. And I think the other thing that's really important, Sylvia, is that part of what your church has done over the years with building a nursing home, and it used to be called the Lutheran Nursing Home, and then it became Mapleview, and it got sold, and that money is now some of your leverage for doing things in the community as well. So this is a big operation, but this can actually happen, everybody. We and if people want to learn more, all of us are prepared to come out and talk to groups or speak to anybody individually, and we'll all put our faith on the line, won't we? We will.
And it sounds then, and certainly I've had the pleasure of having conversation with you as well and learning through the Institute. No one single source of funds is going to do this. I think, Sylvia, that's really what your experience has been, and that options need to be explored through the community for different ways of doing this. And that's really the messaging that you're trying to share. Marianne, what would you like to share about your thoughts relating to this?
Well, I have a couple of things. One of them is that there are within existing apartment buildings and other places where seniors have chosen to live, there's something called a NORC, and it is a naturally occurring retirement community. And I know of at least one that is happening in Owen Sound, perhaps two or three, where people just decide that they're going to band together, have social times together, take care of each other, make sure that they get to a hospital or to the kind of care that they need. If one can drive and several can't, then they exchange those services. So that's one kind of thing that's happening. Another kind of thing that's happening is a cooperative. Glassworks is a cooperative, and I've lived in co-ops in my life, and they are a way of maybe sharing housing, sharing community, sharing social life, and taking care of each other too. And we do have a couple of co-ops in Owen Sound, and the Glassworks is, we hope, coming in our future. The other thing that I am thinking about right now, I've been asked if I would have a student living in my home, a student who would be in the nursing program at Georgian College. And we all know how important nurses and PSWs and other healthcare workers are. We're really suffering because we don't have enough. So this is something that I'm thinking about and may well do as a way to help housing crisis. You don't think of some of these things, but we can do that.
They actually have a name on that program called home sharing, and there's quite a nice start on that happening over in the Thornbury area. And It would be, and there's several other places that do that in an organized way. And to get more people doing that home sharing, we probably need a little bit of an organizing group to sort of take on doing some of the matching. But having intergenerational things happen with seniors is so important. And that's one of the reasons I volunteer at our museum, our local museum, Marine and Rail, and Community Waterfront Heritage Center. It's just so lovely having the different ages coming in. And it's because it's a happy place, all my messaging doesn't have to be on these crises all the time, because we have to have some balance in our life. Because, you know, Carol, you know, from being on council, and I always thought, well, maybe you can learn about one thing. Oh, no, when you're on council, it's everything, isn't it? And you know a little bit about everything that's happening. So
yeah,
it's a tricky thing, isn't it? But tomorrow, the three of us are all on a bus together. Maybe Sylvia, you talk about that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, a bus will be leaving from Hanover. There's the Lutheran Church in Hanover and the Lutheran Church up in Wyerton are considering housing projects. So there are several down in Kitchener. So we're going to travel to Kitchener and see what they're doing down there. Because faith communities have real estate, that can easily transition into more housing as churches, unfortunately, membership is declining and some churches are closing. So this is a way to create housing and
so we'll be looking at some projects and Indwell's involved in that and some early other organizations. So we've been learning all the time. And just this week, there was one where a nursing home got turned into affordable housing. And that's where we have to talk to developers, because developers haven't really been able to make money on the house, that part of housing, of this part of housing. And it's one of the reasons, the way the funding is, it's a very mixed bag to understand it all. It's taken us quite a few meetings to figure it all out too. But if we could get some developers to help us transitioning places that are already built into homes, and then working with, we really have to have a nonprofit, because that's who has to run these buildings that are because you can't make profit on affordable housing. So you need to have a nonprofit group. And that's why we're very fortunate in Owen Sound, because there is the Owen Sound nonprofit housing, and there's here the Lutheran Social Services. There's the other home that is done by the
Kelso Seniors, and Rockcliffe.
Yeah, Rockcliffe, yeah,
Seniors.
So those are, it's important. See, I think there's a learning curve for all of us, because people don't understand about this kind of housing. But we all have to live in a home. And in Owen Sound, with us having so many unhoused people, we are aware of where everybody lives now and how that can happen to be better. It has to be better.
And really, developers are in a business to develop.
That's right.
And they have to cover their costs. So the hunt is for other ways to provide funding to be able to get social purpose development done and still allow for the business model. And that's where the innovation and the creativity, and that's where many heads together are certainly required. What I'm hearing, and you may have seen this, and I know, Jen, you were on an interview that we did last summer around the homeless. Yes. And the fact that there are now seniors who are much more precariously housed, we're seeing more people on the edge of becoming without a roof and having to choose to go to food banks and OSHARE because they can't pay their rent plus. So how would this whole concept of affordable housing help with that? Do you anticipate that would be an opportunity for stability for those who are really on the edge, working hard, got a job, but can't make ends meet?
Well, it's really changed over the years. I remember many years ago, we were in all of Grey County, we were dealing with a wait list of 700 on the wait list. That's now over 2,000. and there just isn't the housing. So we have to create solutions to help people out.
So if people listening want to learn more or want to have further conversation, who would they connect with? Would they connect with Lutheran Social Services? Like, just even to begin the conversation about how we can fill in the gaps and build affordable.
Yes, sure. We did write a letter. Two of our board members wrote a letter and are inviting in that letter organizations to invite us to speak to them, like churches. We spoke at the Silver Seas recently, and just for people to learn more.
Yeah.
Give us a call.
Yeah, and what I usually say, Carol, to people is I try to direct them to that phone number 211 where they start, because the thing is that both the Lutheran Social Services and the Own Sound nonprofit housing, we get our names from the county, because people have to get registered if they want affordable housing, which just means subsidized housing. There's different forms of it, because some of it is rent geared to income. There's but it's basically, you do have to disclose your income, and if you get subsidized housing, you are going to only pay 30% of your income on housing. So that means that everybody's rent is different. And the experience I'm having living there, nobody talks about their rent, but we have no idea what each other's paying, because that's the way it is. I'm in a market share building apartment, because every apartment that's built has to have some market to help pay for part of the subsidizing. But we're so lucky. Our county is doing such a good job. And, now they bought the motel, and we want, the belief is that everybody should be housed. We don't want the homeless, but we just can't keep up. There's just still not enough to keep people housed right now.
And Jen, you raise a good point. And I'm going to go back to Sylvia and then back to Marianne. When you were doing, I've learned there's a fancy word, pro forma, where you do your combination of things that will make it market. To be able to survive, for this new build that you're doing, you can't make it 100% affordable, correct? You have to have some market rents, because otherwise financially it's just not sustainable, correct?
Correct, yes. At St. Francis Place, and 35 years ago, the governments, provincial and federal, provided all the funds to build St. Francis Place. That's just not the case anymore. Governments can't do it all anymore. And even then, 70% of our people are subsidized and 30% market. That doesn't even work anymore. So we're trying the 50-50, and sometimes even CMHC encourages just at least 30% should be affordable. So it's getting less and less. So the public has to help out.
Yeah, it's critical for us to be able to help those in our community. Marianne, you mentioned earlier about the idea of renting rooms, and Jen used the term home share. Mm-hmm. We've been hearing a lot about physician recruitment and how important it is for all of us, but especially seniors who are more vulnerable with their health issues, as people age, how absolutely critical it is that we have physicians. But the other part is we're hearing about the risk to hospitals and ERs because there aren't enough nurses. So I'm wondering if you could expand a little bit about the advantage of, and whether reaching out to Bright Shores Health System to even start to find out what they need or how the community could help with lodging for students might be something to consider. I want to speak a little bit more about that.
Well, what I know about that area is that Georgian College itself does have a housing department. And I don't know that they do the matchmaking that Jan suggested, but matchmaking is very important when you're inviting someone to live with you in your home.
Yes.
So there needs to be a process. And I know personally for me, I've already had one meeting with this young woman's mentor. And so we did quite a bit of talking then, but I would want to talk with her myself. And I think that it's very important that you make a contract of sorts. This is the length of time. These are the things that you can expect. And these are the things that I would like to have. So it's very important to make those things obvious. And I mean, it's really important that we do all we can to help these professions develop. And I'm under the impression, and I don't know all the details, but the government is actually at this time assisting with or paying registration for candidates who want to be PSWs. We're so keen to have them. And I would say that to move from this area of students and increasing our professionals, in terms of housing too, the federal government has been off and on ever since the Second World War. They have been involved with housing, first housing veterans and, working on seniors' homes. It's not something new. And it's something that we always afforded with the assistance of government. And so if you can make that relationship between the community, where there are monies, and people want to see this in their community. They don't want to have people unhoused. They want a workforce that is part of the economy. Then having that partnership between government and citizens themselves is very important.
Mm-hmm. And you raise a really valuable point. It's not one organization or one level of government. It's everyone together.
Yes.
Doing what they can.
And can I just say, Carol, that when the three of us were all involved with Glassworks, we were aware of several women wanting to get together and live together in homes. Like that's another whole movement that is also happening. And it's happening with the seniors as well. And that's one way of home sharing, not just with intergenerational, but women coming together and living together, and it being a reasonable way to do it. More and more home sharing is happening. We've had some of the people talk to us about how many empty bedrooms there are, and trying to pitch that to all of us to understand. Not everybody is comfortable to have someone in the home with them, but as people age and they have some need, maybe they can't go up their stairs anymore and they have to turn one of their dining room into a bedroom. And then it'd be nice to have somebody with you. And myself, having moved to this apartment where there's 59 other apartments, I don't feel like I'm alone there either, even though I've got my own space, but it's working out. But there's more we can do there too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway.
I can't believe our time is up already.
Oh,
I know.
I know. I just chatter on.
Oh, it's wonderful. I want to thank you, every one of you. You bring your perspectives forward, and I'm going to invite you to come back. Please, in the fall, let us know how things are going, certainly with St. Clair Place, but also with other initiatives and other ideas you might hear as you go through this learning journey. Thank you so, so much. And thank you to our viewing audience for joining us today on HealthLink. Please take care, stay safe, and thank you again for joining us.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
Join us next time. We'll be joined by Lacey Mooney to learn more about what's happening at the Roxy Theater.
And Renee will be here from Neo and Son Animal Shelter with an adoptable animal looking for a forever home on Grey County Life.
It's been a long You don't win it to keep it, you win it to be a part of its history. Always hard to see the difference between